Well, today is July 29th. It's going to be an exciting review. For the first time ever, I'm going to review a brand new promotion that just launched this past weekend on the 23rd of July. If you guys never heard, this is Jersey promotion called Garden State Pro Wrestling. Now, this is a brand new promotion that started down in the East Coast. We have some amazing matches that are taking place that I was impressed by. But also, we cannot forget about AEW Rampage, Fight for the Fallen, and of course, who levels up on NXT Level Up. And we got a couple of news updates that I'm going to share what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay, right here. So, let's begin with the brand new promotion, Garden State Pro Wrestling, with their event, Welcome to Eden, that took place on the 23rd of July. Now, I have been covering the matches they've been booking for this particular event. They have to say they picked the amazing matches to enjoy. Now, this promotion just started, and it's okay because it tells a lot of whole things. But one thing I was unaware or wasn't paying attention was they're going to crown a first ever the Garden State PW Openweight champion. So they decided to set up a tournament in this particular one. It will continue. I just don't know how long, but I've been fully aware that this is going to take place a lot longer than anticipated. Now, from what I'm seeing, is that this will continue till the next pay-per-view. So let's go to right now with from the beginning to the end. Now, like I mentioned before, this is for the first round of the Openweight Championship. We have Kevin Blackwood taking on Allen Five Angels. I have to say this is a pretty interesting match. Now, as you know, Allen Angels have been released from he was let go from AEW, and now he's making a name for himself. He's recently made appearances such as Impact Wrestling and other locations, but him being here was great. Now, you probably say there's no way he could beat a guy like Blackwood. I have to say it was one of the most biggest upsets ever. He picked up the win and he advances. So this time he put what's his name, Blackwood, in a submission hold, forcing him to tap out. I thought it was pretty impressive. Now our next match, it's a tag team match. Now we had Balian Aki teaming up with Heather Reckless taking on Jai Vidal and Dark Sheik. Now Balian Aki was at last minute changeup. Whoever he was supposed to be teaming took over for was unable to make it, but it was a great moment to see him there. Now, some of you are saying that it's those who are Choco Pro fans, you're probably happy. Now, how did he do in this match? He did pretty good. I have to say, it did very much amazing. But it was Heather Monroe who picked up the victory herself. And I thought it was great because it showed Balanaki can be a team player, especially with Heather. Now, our next match is continuing more with the Openweight tournament. First round, we have Titus Alexander versus Calvin Techman. Now, this particular match, as you know, would have fallen favor to Calvin Techman, but no, Titus O'Neil rolled him up and used the trunks and did not see that, but it did give him the win, and he even gave a big FU to the East Coast. It's all about the East Coast, and not to mention, he is going to be facing real soon Michael Oku of the Rev Pro promotion for the Rev Pro Cruiserweight Championship. I have to say this is going to be interesting to see. Now, our next match, we have trios action. We got Team H2O, Austin Luke, Reed, I forgot what was his last name, and Marcus Matters, taking on the members of Young, Dumb, and Broke, Charlie Tiger, Griffin McCoy, and Jordan Oliver. This match was unbelievably amazing. A lot of spots, but it brings out the best out of both teams. And I have to say, it was Young, Dumb, and Broke that walked away as the victors. It was pretty good. Excuse me. Anyway, our next match, we have the AAA La Reina de Reinas being put on the line. We had Tail Valkyrie, who picked for opponent Trish Adora. I have to say, what a good match and a good pick for her. I have to say, it showed a lot of determination with Trish Adora. But, however, she ended up on the wrong side of the Valkyrie, whatever she calls it, in order for her to retain the AAA Reina de Reinas championship. Now, our next two matches are involving, of course, the openweight title. First round, we have Effie versus the bounty hunter, Brian Keith. Now, Brian Keith is not messing around. He's not playing games, unlike Effie. But it was Brian Keith that walked out the victor, and of course, in this other things. But our second match involving this, we had, of course, Robert Martyr taking on Davey Richards. I have to say, this was a huge upset. I did not expect Robert Martyr to walk out as the victor, but in reality, I have to say it was pretty great. But however, Robert Martyr has a problem with Alan Angels. He felt like you had your chance. This is my turn. He feels that Alan Angels, who's his next opponent in the next round, should not be here, but we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Janai Kai versus Billy Starks versus the Pink Striker, Miyu Yamashita. I thought this match was unbelievably amazing. You have Janai Kai, who also has a vicious striking striker technique, but it was the Pink Striker who walked out as the victor. It was pretty amazing when it pulled off with the amazing kick. So that's what makes her very popular. Now, our next and a main event is Konosuke Takeshita, the Japanese rising star, taking on Impact Wrestling's world champion in a non-title match, Josh Alexander. I thought this match was amazing. I have to say, with that much endurance, that much of what they were doing, I did not expect this, but this match went into a time limit draw. However, Konosuke said that he wants a rematch. Josh Alexander has no problem, but the real question is where's going to where. But he even told the fans, if they want this in Garden State, then yell it out loud, and hopefully that match can take place. So I pretty enjoyed this particular event. I can't wait to see the next one, that Kingdom Come, that will take place next month in August, but we'll see what happens then. So let's move on with AEW Fight for the Fallen Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage Fight for the Fallen. Open up with trios action, Satnam Singh, Sanjay Dutt, and Jay Lethal to take on Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends. I thought this match was rather interesting because, as you know, Orange Cassidy is very unorthodox. Sanjay Dutt wasn't even wearing his ring gear. But however, Orange Cassidy wanted the challenge against Satnam Singh, but basically it didn't happen. But they did throw in the whole pockets things, and Cassidy destroyed Sanjay Dutt's custom-made pencil. But however, it was the orange punch that sealed the deal for Orange Cassidy to win. And then, of course, all of a sudden, he was getting a beat down from Lethal, Singh, and Dutt. But Warlow shows up to give a helping hand to teach them a bullet. But however, Jay Lethal didn't. I don't think he appreciated that Warlow stuck his nose where he doesn't belong. I think that tells us a lot of things, but we'll see what happens. But Jericho did say he would like to see Warlow Symphony Powerbomb Singh. I thought it would be great, but we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match, we have Ethan Page versus Leon Ruffin. This is part 2 between them. The last time, Leon Ruffin put a run over his money. Basically, I don't think Ethan Page knew that he could, that Leon Ruffin had what it takes, and Leon Ruffin couldn't stop. And he tried the same thing here, but this time it did not. He ended up on the wrong side of the ego's edge. Now, our next thing we have is our interview with Cole Carter, who made his debut, taking on, of course, the FTW champion Ricky Starks. However, it looks like QT Marshall thinks that he is hanging out with the wrong crowd. Cole Carter, we don't know much what he's planning to do. He wants him to join, of course, the factory. So basically, he thinks that he can make him better, saying that he's making piss poor choices. But we'll see what happens then. Our next match, we have student versus teacher, Lee Moriarty versus Matt Sydal. I thought this match was pretty interesting. However, Stokely Hathaway showed up, costing Matt Sydal the match because he's interested in Lee Moriarty. But however, Lee Moriarty put him in the Motor City stretch and forcing him to tap out. So it looks like Lee Moriarty will be aligning himself with Stokely Hathaway. Now, Britt Baker and Rebel decided to do a little forecasting of their own about Thunderstorm. Now, Britt Baker thinks that she knows Thunder Rosa, thinking that that she's using Toni Storm and all this and other stuff, and of course they're gonna prove that in an upcoming match between them. So we'll see what happens, because I can tell those two ladies can get along. Now, if AEW decides to do a tag team titles, I would say my pick would be Thunderstorm. Now, as you know, recently in Death Before Dishonor, Claudio Castagnoli is now the new Ring of Honor World Champion. William Regal's right there too, and he even called out Wheeler Yuta, but Jericho has had it. He felt that this is a load of nonsense, and he keeps saying that sports entertainers always win because of what happened. Daniel Garcia defeated Bryan Danielson, but we all know that apparently he had help. But if that was true, then why is it that Daniel Garcia lost to Wheeler Yuta for the pure title? So he got into the face of Wheeler Yuta, saying that he can beat him. So he was playing mind games. Now, Jericho did stated it wasn't a mind game, but everybody knows he tricked them. That's what we see. Now, as you know, the Acclaim sent out a pretty interesting video, a message to none other than the As Boys, the Gun Club. I thought it was very interesting and really entertaining. Now, our main event is Anna Jay versus Ruby Soho. Ruby Soho did say that leave her little posse in the back. And of course, Eddie Kingston and Ortiz, they know better not to get involved in Ruby Soho's business. But we thought this match would have fallen in favor of Ruby Soho, but this time, without taking a look what was going on, Anna Jay used the cast that Ruby Soho used in order to choke her out. But you can guarantee there will be revenge by Ruby Soho for that loss. And sooner or later, sports entertainers will lose one way or the other. So I think that's pretty much it. So we'll move on to our next and final review, NXT Level Up. Okay, our final review. Who levels up on NXT Level Up? Well, we'll just have to find out. Well, our first match, we have Javier Bernal and versus Miles Bourne. Now, these two guys have teamed up before. Now, this particular team up did not do so well the last time. Now, Javier Bernal might have said something that might have felt like, it was Miles Bourne not doing his part. Now, I can understand what he meant, because there was a moment that seems like Miles Bourne could have saved Javier Bernal to win the match, but it didn't seem like it. But Javier Bernal decided, you know what, I'm just going to sell this in the ring. And that's exactly what he did. But the one thing I did not anticipate is how he was going to settle it. He used the ring ropes in order to win the match. So he stole it very quickly. Now, Miles Bourne can sense that the match was stolen from him, but it is what it is. Referee did not see it, so Javier Bernal may have a win over Miles Bourne. But do we think this is going to be the end of it? I don't know. Now, one of our interviews, we have Quincy Elliott will be teaming with Hickman Jero. These two are a very different not unorthodox, more of the odd pairing because they're all about fashion and that sort of thing. So we'll see how they team up. Now our next match, we have Fallon Henley taking on Sol Ruka. I have to say Sol Ruka is very impressive. I really was impressed by her agility when she jumped to the ring to do the splits. But Fallon Henley, she is one of those women that she's all about kicking ass no matter what. And I think that shows us a lot of things. But it was her impressive striking kick to the face to Sol Ruka that allowed her to pick up a good win. So it was pretty good. I have to say, Sol Ruka is very impressive, but Fallon Henley is one of those you definitely got to pay attention to the most. Now, our main event is Ika Menjero and Quincy Elliott taking on Edris Enofe and Malik Blade. I thought this match was incredible because I have to say, Malik Blade and Edris Enofe, I do see those guys maybe becoming one day the NXT Tag Team Champions. That is something we can definitely see. But Ika Menjero and Quincy Jones, they got along great. I have to say, I would like to see more of those two team up, but I was impressed with the way they took out Quincy Jones by lifting him up. I mean, the dude is huge, but I was impressed. So Blade and Enofe walked out as the victors when they took out Blade. When they took out Quincy, I thought it was great. So I think that's pretty much it what we got with this, and I believe our last thing we're going to do is the news updates. Okay, our last thing we're going to do is, of course, our news updates. Now, as you guys remember, I mentioned about the Keiji Mutoh countdown to his retirement. They're giving him 5 matches. It's already been decided on a few. We already had one with Kaito Kiyomiya that took place recently. I'm excited for that. Was really impressed by that match. But however, one of the matches that was really discussed was Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, some of you might question why would he want to be involved in a Pro Wrestling Noah match. If you guys recall, there was some history between the two of them, and Tanahashi has spoken saying that he would like to be part of the final 5 matches. So we already have 1 match, only 4 to go. So now it's being reported that most likely there is a possibility we can see Keiji Mutoh versus Tanahashi. So we don't know when, where, or what date's going to take place. We will not know. But until then, I will continue to follow this, and we'll see from there. Now, as for you guys know, I talked about the Garden State making their debut. I have to say it was impressive. However, as you know, their upcoming event, Thy Kingdom Come, will take place on the 27th of August. This was a very interesting announcement that came on. I mentioned this before. Balin Aki was a last-minute ad because one of the wrestlers that's supposed to be teaming up with with Heather Monroe couldn't make it due to something else. But Balin Aki took over as that position. He did pretty well. However, it was announced that he's willing to put the Super Asia Championship on the line in Thy Kingdom Come. I was impressed, and I have to say this is going to be amazing. Now, you can say, can they do that? Yes. Emi Sakura is there in the U.S., so she makes the final decisions. So if she was willing to grant Garden State Pro to put this title on the line, then why not? Now, no opponent has been announced yet, but I'm sure we will find out soon enough. I will continue to follow this as much as possible until that day comes. Now, our final update here. As you know, I've been talking about the Jungle Kyona US Tour. Well, another one has been added for Prestige Wrestling, and it's going to take place on October 30th, Wake the Dead. I have to say, this is going to be great. Now, I know she will be making appearances in Garden State Pro, Thy Kingdom Come, don't remember what, and DPW, and a few others, but this is one of the latest. It was announced on their Twitter page. I'm excited. I hope all of you guys are excited. So I think that's pretty much it what we got for now. So let's say it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, what reviews I'm going to do. As you know, we got the 5-star Grand Prix in Stardom starting today. Well, today is the 29th, over there's the 30th. So basically, that's what it's going to be. Is. However, I will try to keep up what's been going on. I know they'll put a small pre-show portion on the YouTube channel. I'll add those once I get the full video. If watchprowrestling.org decides to put it up, I will definitely follow. As you know, we also, I think we got the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax taking place as well on this coming Saturday. But we'll just wait and see. If it is, I'm going to be covering a lot of tournaments in this upcoming episode, but we'll see what happens. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.